So, what happens when a system we all depend on is, well, just broken? Today, we're going to dig into a really powerful diagnosis of American education. And it all kicks off with this incredibly stark metaphor.
Okay, so this old proverb, it's really the core of this whole analysis. The big idea is that for decades, American education has been riding a dead horse. But here's the crazy part. Instead of just getting off, what do? We form committees, we hire consultants, we buy fancy new saddles, we even blame the person riding it. We do literally everything, except the one simple thing that would actually fix the problem.
All right, so to really get to the bottom of this, we're going to use a tool from systems thinking. It's called a MECE analysis. It's just a fancy way of saying we're going to break down the problem into pieces that are totally separate, mutually exclusive, but that, when you put them all together, cover the entire problem, collectively exhaustive. It basically gives us a super clear map of exactly what's gone wrong with no fuzzy overlaps.
So first up, governance. And the root problem here is pretty simple. The people in charge, the politicians, the administrators, their incentives are all wrong. They're pushed to optimize for things that look good on paper. They chase those short-term metrics, they check off compliance boxes. The entire system is built to reward good optics, not what actually matters, the long-term well-being and growth of a kid. Okay, let's zoom into the classroom itself. The second big failure is all about what we teach and how we teach it. These top-down rules and this just relentless focus on standardized tests, it's completely crowded out things like creativity and real critical thinking. And it's killed something that ancient Greeks had a word for, poiesis. It just means to make, that really simple but profound act of creating something with your own hands and mind. And get this. This failure isn't happening because we're not spending money. We are spending a ton. We're talking about $17,700 per student. That's the average projected for 2025. I mean, think about that number. And for all that cash, we're getting what? Basically zero measurable improvement in how our students are doing. It's wild. So, where's all that money going? Right. That leads us straight to failure number 3, the market. Billions of our tax dollars are just flowing out to edtech vendors and textbook publishers. And here's the kicker. They sell their products with absolutely no guarantee they'll actually work. So the money ends up just propping up the same old broken system instead of building something better.
And the result of all this? Well, it's pretty sobering. A full 30% of American 12th graders can't even read at a basic level. I mean, let that sink in. After 13 years in school, almost 1 out of every 3 of our kids isn't proficient in reading. It's staggering. And that brings us to the final piece of this puzzle, the people, the human element. We're seeing teachers leaving the profession in record numbers. There are constant shortages everywhere. And who does this hit the hardest? Of course, it's the most vulnerable students. It's a sad fact that poverty is still the #1 predictor of how a kid is going to do in school. And you can see this crisis just by looking at the classroom environment. A massive 80% of teachers say they have to deal with frequent disruptions. And look, this isn't just about kids misbehaving. It's a symptom of a much bigger disease, a system where teachers are forced to spend more time managing chaos than actually, teaching. Okay, so here's the most important takeaway from this diagnosis. These 4 things, they aren't separate problems at all. They're locked together in what you could call a doom loop. Right? Bad governance creates bad curriculum. That burns out our best teachers. That makes inequality even worse, which then leads to the poor test scores that politicians use as an excuse to double down on the same bad policies. It's a self-perpetuating cycle. The dead horse is literally just going around in circles. So, how in the world do we break out of this loop? Well, it starts by asking completely different questions. And to help us do that, we can actually look back to the philosopher Aristotle. He had these 2 big ideas. Theoria, which is all about deep critical thinking, and poiesis, which, as we said, is the art of making something new. So theoria is all about asking why before we jump to how. Think about it. Our system right now audits stuff like test scores and graduation rates. It's all about the output. But what if we did a theoria audit? We'd be asking completely different questions, like what are the actual conditions kids need to thrive? What do our teachers really, truly need to do their jobs well? See the difference? It's a shift from just counting things to actually understanding things. And then we have poiesis, making stuff. I mean, just look at the difference here. On one side, you have a student who proves they know something because they circled the right bubble on a test about water filtration. Okay? But on the other side, you have a student who proves they understand it by actually building a water filter that works.
Both of them might pass the test, right? But only one has really learned in that deep, hands-on way that sticks with you. And look, this isn't just some abstract philosophical exercise. This is real. Let's take a look at two countries that actually built their education systems on these kinds of deeper principles: Finland and Singapore. Now, what's fascinating is that they took really different approaches. Finland is all about the whole child, lots of play-based learning. Singapore, on the other hand, is known for its rigorous academics. But here's what they have in common, and this is crucial. They both treat their teachers like elite, respected, well-paid professionals. And they both decided that a genuine culture of learning is way more important than a culture of testing. And this really gets to the absolute heart of the issue. You can't just look at what Finland or Singapore did, copy-paste one of their policies, and expect it to magically work here. It's like this quote says, "You cannot bolt a Finnish outcome onto an American incentive structure." Why? Because the incentive structure is the problem. That's what you have to fix first. Okay, so what do we actually do? What's the path forward? This brings us to Aristotle's third big idea, praxis. And praxis isn't just about taking action. It's about reflective action. It's this continuous loop of doing something, stepping back to think about it, and then changing it based on what you learned. This whole cycle is the complete opposite of how we usually do reform, right? No more giant top-down mandates. It starts small, right there in the classroom. You try a small change, you watch what actually happens in real time, and then you ask the important questions. Did this actually serve the child? Did it help the teacher? And then you tweak it based on that real feedback from real people. Yeah, it's slow, it's human, but it's how real lasting change actually happens. So this really brings the challenge right to our doorstep. Let's start with parents. I want you to think about this. What are you being asked to accept as normal in your child's school day? What are those things that, if you're being honest with yourself, you know deep down just aren't right? And to all the teachers out there, a question for you. When was the last time you truly felt like your professional judgment mattered? When did you feel like your expertise, your deep knowledge of your own students was valued more than a test score? And finally, for all of us as citizens, we have to start asking some hard questions. Who actually benefits from keeping things exactly the way they are? The advice here is so simple, but it's powerful. Follow the money. And when you're done with that, follow the children. I guarantee the answers you find will tell you everything you need to know. And that brings us right back to where we began. The system is broken. The horse is dead. The data proves it, the teachers are screaming it, and our kids are living it every single day. So the best strategy, really the only strategy left, is to finally get off the horse.